Hello, everyone. Welcome to Who Run the World, a woman's podcast. My name is Katy Perry, not the famous singer. Sorry. I created this podcast to take an intersectional approach to feminism and different aspects of womanhood. I thought it'd be really interesting conversations to listen to for all of you and to educate myself while I'm having these conversations. So yeah, today I'm talking to my friend Cat about women and belonging. I know this topic sounds a little vague, but we touch on a lot of topics. We talk about how our identities as women make us kind of feel like we stand out and we don't belong. We also talk about Kat's identities and how, as a woman of color, she doesn't always feel like she belongs in different spaces, especially locally, like in Fort Collins. So we talk about what we do to feel comfortable when we don't feel like we belong. We talk about the spaces that we seek out and how we present ourselves. And then we bring it back to an internal sense of belonging, talking about self-love. I tried to keep this episode under half an hour, but it's a little bit long because Kat is just too interesting and I couldn't cut anything out. But yeah, so the whole thing is really awesome. Also, this is the last episode of my podcast series. I know, I'm sad too. This is the 5th one, and I'll link to some below if you missed any episodes. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed it. So yeah, here we go. Girls, who run the world? Girls, who run the world? Girls, who run this mother? Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Today I'm talking to Kat. Hi, Kat.
Hi, Katy Perry. What's up, girl?
Oh, what's up? We're talking about women and belonging, which I think is a very, I know it sounds a little bit of a vague topic, but I think it will encompass a lot of interesting things. So I'm really excited. And Kat, would you like to introduce yourself?
What's up? My name is Cat Connelly. That was the name that my parents gave me. But over the years, Cat has become my nickname. Some people call me Kitty. Some people call me Kitty Cat.
Cat in the club?
Cat in the club, Cat in the Cadillac, whatever's clever. But I go by all those things. Everything's fine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And can I ask, how do you identify?
I identify as female. Or like within like race too, or
whatever you would like to talk about.
I identify as Black/mixed. Like I go back and forth all the time. Like I really struggle with because I feel like I'm perceived as Black, and so that's how I'm treated. But yeah, I always feel like I don't want to deny like my white side, but I don't know, all that stuff gets so like sticky. You know
absolutely.
What I mean?
Yeah.
Because then Black people are like, oh, you ain't embracing your Black side, and then like, but then it's like I walk into a room full of white people and I'm not seen as like one of them either. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like when you're mixed, you're very stuck and like you're very in between. And I feel like for a lot of people who are mixed, it takes you a while to really find your place and to like see where you're at and stuff. It's a struggle, just like a struggle with identity in general. Like, how are you going to wear your hair? Like, who are you going to surround yourself with? And it's just a bunch of different things.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It seems very like it kind of goes really perfectly into the topic of belonging because it's some identities come with like their own structured setup. Like, you're part of our community, like, welcome. And like, and if it's very obviously by appearance, it makes it, it's kind of the pros and cons. Like, you have the obvious like welcoming and then you get the assumptions that come with it, So
right.
That's really interesting. But yeah, so you had a really great blank monologue, which I'll try and find a link because it was like fantastic, and I'll try and post it. So
thanks.
Everyone listening can also watch it. There was a lot of interesting things in it, and one of the aspects was that your experience in Fort Collins was really different than your upbringing and kind of where you're from originally, which is Aurora.
Yeah.
And so I wondered if you want to talk about the sense of belonging there and how that's changed since you came to college.
So I'm from Aurora, and it's so funny because when you're up here and you ask people like, so you're from Aurora, you say which part, because there's 2 parts of Aurora. There's like one side of Aurora that's has a little bit more money and, it's a little bit more, not super uppity, but it has a little bit more money. And then there's the part that I'm from that I would define as hood-ish. Like, it's not super hood, but it's definitely hood-ish. And the part of Aurora that I'm from, it was a very diverse community. I grew up in a Latino neighborhood, so I grew up around like that culture. And the high school I went to, there was, tons of languages that people spoke, and it was just like a bunch of different people from, Mexico, people from Ethiopia. Like, it was a very diverse setting. So, it's just like, being in a place where you can identify with people and people who look like you and share your culture, and people who don't have that culture, but you still want to like connect with it. Like I remember growing up, like going to like quinceañeras every weekend because I just love that culture and I wanted a quinceañera myself, you know? And then coming to CSU it's a huge culture shock. And I think it's something that all the students of color deal with. If they come from a community that's diverse or a community with people like them, you come to CSU and you're like, whoa, you know, nobody here looks like me, you know, and also a lot of the students who come here, there's like a class difference too. Like people come from, I mean, you're here in college, you know what I mean? People are here from like, you know, upper middle class, you know, areas. And it's like, so I feel like there's a lot of race barriers when you come here to CSU as a student of color. And there's also like class barriers as well. And it was a bananas experience coming up here, seeing things that I'd never seen before, or, I don't know, being asked questions that I had never been asked before, or like, you know, just, you know, all around kind of things, just bananas.
Yeah, that sounds really ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it's been interesting. I've been asked all kinds of questions, and I know other people who have like been called like the N-word, or you know what I mean, or just like, you know, being in Old Town, you know, just, you know, you sometimes just gotta really be careful, and it's like sometimes you don't always feel safe. I remember when I first came to Fort Collins, before I came here, I was told early on that there's a couple hate groups near campus, and there's hate groups in Greeley. I'm not gonna name what the group is, but as a person of color, that's scary. Yeah, you know what I mean, to be like, I'm just here to go to school, and I don't want to be a target, you know what I mean? Like I'm just here to get my education so I can like go back to my community and uplift those people, and you know what I mean, and give back to where I came from. You know, I'm not here to be harassed. I'm not here to be your bridge to help you understand what it's like to be a student of color at CSU. You know what I'm saying? So that's not my job to educate you either.
Yeah, I don't even know anything about these hate groups. Like that just speaks to my whiteness and how like I don't have to be aware of this shit, you know, and like that's really I don't like that at all. Nope.
It sucks. You know, you gotta have hope for the world. Maybe things will change someday. Maybe, you know, and I don't know if the culture of like CSU is ever going to change for students of color, because, you know, I know freshmen, you know, now, and it's the same story. You know, it's just kind of like a cycle, you know. It's the same thing being told over and over again. And it's like, I know CSU does their best to try and be inclusive, and they're trying, you know, and they say this is such a diverse school, and they show diversity on, you know, the website or in brochures, but then you get here and you're looking around, like I look to my left, I look to my right, and I don't see anybody who looks like me, you know. And it's people, I've heard some people say like, I never met anybody who was like Black until I came to college. And it's like, what? You know. And then just the things that have been the comments that have been made to me over the years, some of them are just so ignorant, and sometimes you're like, do I address this or do I just leave it alone? It's like, do I really want to deal with this today? Kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That kind of goes into what have you done like individually to make this community better for you, and going back to that belonging.
So thankfully, when I came to CSU, I was a part of the Key communities, and typically the people who are part of Key are students of color, basically like students who are at risk, you know, like because when you're a student of color coming to, you know, a predominantly white university, it's called a PWI. You know, there's a lot more barriers for you. And like a lot of times dealing with race and that culture shock makes people want to go home. Yeah. And because I remember my freshman year, I had a lot of friends who were at other PWIs, and they were like, this is not for me. I have to go. Like, I can't deal with, you know, the ignorance of being around all these white people and the things that have been saying to me, or even just being away from home and that culture, because there's not a lot of culture here in Fort Collins. You can't find like a lot of restaurants that, you know, have the food that you grew up with, or even going to the grocery store, you can't find all the ingredients to make the food that you make at home. And that just goes to show you like, who does this city really cater to, you know? But I joined Key, and I'm very thankful for being in Key. It was a really good space. It was a place that felt like home, and it was good because if I didn't have that community, I probably would have left. And then some other things I joined Delta Xi Nu Multicultural Sorority Incorporated about 3 years ago when it was my second semester at CSU, and it's a multicultural based sorority I wanted to be a part of some kind of group. You know, I wanted to do community service. I wanted to give back, but I didn't really know how to do that. And I knew that if I joined a Pan-Hellenic sorority, the ones that had the house, and the majority of them, you know, it's like white girls. I knew I wasn't going to fit in there and I was going to be fighting people. So I joined Delta Xi Nu, and the really cool thing about it is because it's multicultural based, I felt all my identities are going to be embraced. You know what I mean? I'm not going to have to choose between like being white and being black, or you're like acting super white today, or you're acting this, you're acting that, you know? And it was cool because there were a lot, at the time that I joined, there was a lot of other women in the sorority who were also mixed as well. So they knew how I felt. You know, there were girls who were mixed with like, you know, Irish and Mexican, or Mexican and black, or, you know, Asian and white. So they understood what it's like to do that. So it was just such a safe space to just be me, you know, and I really like that. And the org has really grown a lot. We have a lot more members now than when I joined, and it definitely shows that we're multicultural. Like not one of us looks the same, and all of our founding mothers are of different ethnicities. So that's just something that we all value as culture. And I think the last thing I did here at CSU to make myself feel more comfortable is I became a women's studies minor. And I think for a student of color, like being in like ethnic studies and women's studies classes is a really good space to be in, because you have people who are more critically conscious and more aware of their surroundings and what is being said. So I've been a women's studies minor for about a year now, so I haven't heard a lot of like the ignorance that I used to hear in a lot of my other classes, because people are a lot more aware about what's going on, and they're not going to say things that are not okay to say. So it's more of a safer space. So yeah, it's a very good community to be a part of it for sure.
I wish I was a woman's minor or major or whatever.
It's amazing. Honestly, I think every person on this campus should take Intro to Women's Studies, just because it really opens your eyes to what is actually happening in this world. You know what I'm saying? It's super easy to, you know, turn a blind eye to what's happening around you, you know, especially if this world benefits you. But it's interesting to take a step back and really recognize, like, where are some of the issues that are happening around us, and, you know, these issues that have been happening for years and years. And it just really creates a lens that you see the world differently. You know, after you take that class, you really you see the world in a different way. And it's like once you're woke, you can't go back to sleep.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I feel like I've had some of that in my communication classes and stuff.
Yeah,
which is really nice, but most of it's been like outside of my classes. Like it's been like these conversations with my friends and reading online and all that stuff. And it's great, but it is a little bit harder.
But they are very good conversations to have. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, yo, like let's take a step back and be like, so wait, what does that mean when, you know, someone says XYZ? Like, what do they really mean? You know what I mean? We were talking about in my women's studies capstone. And for those of you who don't know what capstone is, it's like a seminar. And it was about how when you're a woman and you work somewhere, if you work like in any service like food or, you know, in retail, like how you get treated sometimes. Like one girl in the class, or one woman in the class, was saying, you know, she was a server and that sometimes like she would get random tables because a dude requested her.
Oh God.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when you sign up to work somewhere, you're signing up to, you know, work there, you know, show up on time, XYZ, but you're also like kind of signing up to be exploited, because it's like your boss doesn't care that they're putting you in an uncomfortable situation sometimes, because like, well, we need to make money. You know, at my job, I work in retail, and I cannot like say how many times men have come in and asked me for my number or asked me to take me on a date or whatever, and I've told them no, and they don't take no for an answer. And they're just persistent. And it's like, yo, I'm on the job. Like, can you be respectful of that? And I'm saying no. So it's like, you know what I mean? And then my boss sees clearly what's going on, but he doesn't step in to be like, yo, if you're not here to buy sunglasses, like, you need to go, kind of thing. You know what I mean? They're like, well, it's good for business. And it's like, that's not really cool. You know, or
bad for you and your mental health and your safety. And it's great for business.
Definitely. Just there's just like women's studies I could talk about all day about the different things you learn and the critical consciousness that you develop over the years, and it's bananas.
Yeah, I think that really speaks to the whole like different levels of it, because like on the big level, the obvious, you know, like women in the workforce, there's like pay gap and all that stuff, and then you get lower and lower and lower, and it seems smaller scale, like the microaggressions, the like little comments, the getting in like, you know, requested for the table, and like, you know, a million of those add up to just as, you know, equally as a problem as this big issue, even though it's labeled small scale. You know, it's just there's a whole range of how that can mess you up, like at your job. And it's just, it's crazy. It's just, it shouldn't be like a barrier. I don't know.
It sucks. Yeah, because it's like, one, you're a woman, and then when you're a woman of color, that's just another like addition, another layer of stuff you have to deal with. Like, for example, my job, and you mentioned microaggressions.
Yeah.
So I'm, like I said, I'm mixed with white and black, and my hair is, it's past my shoulders, and I wear it curly. Typically, that's like natural. I wear it curly typically, and every time I would wear my hair straight, my female bosses would ask me if my hair was real or not. They would be, are you wearing extensions? Like, regardless if I'm wearing extensions or not, it's not your business. And you're asking me, like, think about why you're asking me. You're asking me if my hair is real because you know that I'm black, and you know that black people wear like weave and extensions and wigs and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why are you really asking me? Are you asking me because you want to know, or like you're trying to like feel something up in your head, like, you know? Or even I did the CSU fashion show recently, and I remember at the fitting they told me, we want your hair to be curly, we love your curls, whatever. And I don't really straighten my hair unless it's a special occasion. You know, it takes time. You know what I'm saying? And it's really damaging to your hair and to the curls. And I embrace my curls a lot more than I did when I was younger, so I don't really like to straighten my hair that often. So they had said, so when it came down time for the show, like less than 24 hours, they're like, everyone come tomorrow, hair straight, la da da da. And I was like, hell no. I went to them and I was like, no, like, I'm not straightening my hair. And they were like, well, why? You know, pressing me like, well, why don't you want to straighten your hair? It's like, yo, like, you want your fashion show to be diverse, right? You want me for the color of my skin, but you don't want my hair. You want me to straighten my hair to look like who? To look more like the other girls here?
Yeah.
Not happening. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Picking and choosing what they want.
Yeah, it's like, nope, it doesn't work that way. If you want diversity, you take me as I am. I'm not going to straighten my hair to look like everybody else in this group. Yeah. It's not happening.
Snaps to yourself.
Snaps.
I like it. Well, one thing I've heard you talk about is how, like, I mean, just with your hair, but also how you dress, like which outfits you choose, like this, you know, like how that really changes how you're perceived. Do you want to mention anything about that?
So I make up my own slang and for everything, but I recently named my style Gorilla Glam because I love being glammed up. And so I'm always going to be glammed, like my makeup's always going to, you know, whatever, I'm always going to have like jewelry on and stuff, but Gorilla Glam. So gorilla means, so when I dress gorilla, to me, that's like, I dress how I used to dress like in Aurora, like looser fitting clothes, or clothes, I guess that would be considered like quote unquote urban or whatever. Like, just because like I'm just feeling like, you know, like I'm just feeling Aurora today. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that I call that gorilla because when I dress like that and I'm walking around Fort Collins, I'm treated a lot differently. I'm treated like a gorilla, like you're afraid of a gorilla. You know what I'm saying? Like you treat a gorilla like an animal. You know what I mean? I'm not treated like a human being. Like I've gone to places and I've been ignored. You know what I'm saying? When I'm dressed a certain way, when I'm dressed a little bit more, like more comfortable too. Like, you know, it's like looser fitting clothing and baseball jerseys, or like, you know, baggier pants, or, you know, a beanie, stuff like that. When I have like my bamboo earrings on and my dark lipstick and stuff like that, I'm definitely treated like a criminal, or, you know, you followed around the grocery store, XYZ. And then when I'm dressed like glammed up, when I'm going to work and I've got like, you know, my pink lipstick on and, you know, I got my heels on and, you know, I'm walking with my purse and my sunglasses on, I'm treated like, oh, who's that? Like, she looks high class, we need to respect her,
like
kind
worth
of thing.
Paying attention to.
Definitely. And I've noticed the difference of like how I'm treated when I go to certain places based on where I'm and how I'm dressed. So, and it's just really interesting because it's like, if I was you know, if this was a white person, you know, dressed either way, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Who knows?
Like, it doesn't really make a difference when me when I'm wearing jeans versus like sweatpants. Like, just because I woke up late or whatever, it doesn't really change how anyone perceives me.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, do you want to talk about how you talked about how like that affects you when you're walking around Fort Collins? Is there anything specific to campus, like when you're on campus, like being perceived differently or excluded or included in certain spaces or anything like that?
I've noticed, and I mentioned this in my piece for the monologues, is like I'm hardly ever offered the collegian or flyers taking place. That's like a line I say. I'm hardly ever offered the collegian or flyers for events taking place. Maybe the distributors want to maintain a white space. So when I'm walking through the plaza, I'm hardly ever like, you know, people are always passing stuff around, and like it doesn't happen very often that somebody passes something to me. And it's like, do I just look unapproachable?
Yeah, that's what I would.
You know what I'm saying?
That's where my mind went to. Like, you know, there's people written who look unapproachable, so like, oh, I want to like bother them.
Yeah.
And because it's like presenting as a woman of color, it's
Yeah.
more likely to be seen as unapproachable or like mean or scary or whatever. And just like, oh, why bother? Like, I'll just go on to the next person.
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So just like things like that.
Yeah, I think that's like really great to hear it, because it's hard to hear, you know, and it's great to know these things, you know. I want to know, but it's definitely rough to listen to and then wonder, like, what am I doing directly or indirectly? That's like, and, you know, like I work at the Collegian, like I'm part of this like system, like I'm part of many systems on campus, and how is that? You know?
Yeah, definitely. Like I also mentioned in the monologue, I say something about like majority of the students here believe white privilege doesn't exist. And that's something that we saw from the Collegian when that article came out last semester. That's when I really felt like, yo, like I fucking hate this school. It's really crazy to be like, yo, because I mean, I'm, you know, when I'm not in my ethnic studies, women's studies classes, I'm in, you know, my comm studies classes, and majority of the people in there are white, and it's like I'm sitting in this classroom full of my white peers who really don't give a fuck about me. If you know what I mean, like that don't know my experience, and they don't care to know my experience. The minute you say white privilege, people shut down. They don't want to hear about it. You know, they don't want to listen. They don't believe it exists, and it's like, you know, it could be something as simple as like, you can go anywhere to get your hair cut in Fort Collins. I would never get my hair cut here in Fort Collins. Yeah. No person of color. People don't get their hair cut here. Almost every woman I know that's a woman of color
goes to Denver.
Because if you go get your hair cut here, you're going to get messed up, because the people here don't know how to cut ethnic hair, which is like, why? Why do you only know how to cut like white people hair? Like if this is your job, you're supposed to be professional. Like I feel like
I'm offering you my money.
Any person should be able to walk into your chair and say, yo, help me. And you can't do that. Yeah. Like, what does that say to you in your business? Like, you only want to help you. I mean, like your skills only go so far. So, you know, like, is this really your craft? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and whether it's coming from, I'm assuming most of these people would not be, you know, directly doing this, but it's just like, you don't think about it because you don't have to think about it. And it's, you know, there's a whole debate about, is ignorance worse than like direct hate, you know? Like, and I who knows, but it's the whole like, you know, just because you're a good person and you're trying your best, like you might not be doing enough. And, you know, it doesn't, like your intentions don't affect like the effect you have on this community that cannot walk into your store or like whatever, you know, there's many examples. But
definitely. Even I work next to MAC at my job. I work in retail, like I said before. I work next to MAC and
like the makeup store, right?
Yeah, MAC Cosmetics.
I don't know about that kind of thing.
MAC Cosmetics. And the amount of Black women that I've seen go to MAC and they can't get their shade matched, or you know, they don't know how to even communicate with like the Black women that go in there, even like the Black men that go in there too. And they're like, why don't you know how to match me? Why can't you find my shade? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And even in some drugstores, like depending on how deep your skin tone is, you may not be able to find your shade. You know, even like being here in Fort Collins, like when I first moved here, I could barely find anything for my hair. Like I get all my hair products in Aurora because I mean like the ethnic, that's what they call it, the ethnic hair aisle has grown. I've seen it grow over the years, but it's still like, why do we have a small section? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That again, it's like, who does this city really cater to? You know what I'm saying? Like there are a lot of people there are not a lot of people of color who live here, but you know, CSU says we're so diverse, we want diversity. Okay, well if you want diversity, you have to accommodate us. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, because then when you go to the store and you can't find stuff to cook your cultural foods, you can't find the products to put in your hair, you don't feel like you belong. You know, and those are just indicators right there that's like, yo, this is not really a space for me.
Just one thing after the other.
Exactly. And that's why I'm peacing out. After I graduate, bye Fort Collins, bye CSU, I'm never coming back. See you later.
I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, obviously it's not as drastic for me, you know, because I
Right.
don't have these negative experiences, obviously. But I do feel kind of like that. Like I'm just like ready to go.
Yeah,
like,
definitely ready to
I have
graduate.
loved being here, and
yeah, for sure.
I'm like ready to just. I don't know. I mean, I'm like from Seattle. I'm like a city person.
Oh, definitely.
So
Oh,
like that's
hell
part
yeah.
of it. Is like
I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, like CSU. I mean, it hasn't all been bad. Like the racial stuff has been like, you know, not the best.
Mhm.
But I mean, I have had really good experiences here, and I've gotten a lot of opportunities that I would not have had if I didn't come here.
Mhm.
But yeah, the diversity in this city is super lacking,
Yeah.
and yeah, I definitely wouldn't see myself living here.
Mhm.
Like you said, like I need to be in the city. I need to be at festivals. I need to be seeing what's going on. I want to immerse myself in other cultures, and you know what I mean?
Mhm. Fort Collins doesn't exactly offer that.
Fort Collins does not exactly offer that. Definitely, really doesn't. And like even when you go to like Old Town, oh my gosh, Old Town. There are some places in Old Town that are very racist.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel like, gosh, it's like I can't even go out because it's like I might not, you know what I mean? It's like depending on who you go out with, it's like what if homegirl doesn't get into this bar with me? You know what I mean? Like, and there are times where like I've been out with people and they've gotten turned away because we don't allow shoes like that in here, or you're wearing this, you can't come in. Oh my goodness, like you don't look like the person on your ID. You can't come in. Because as you know, like people of color, I know like a lot of Black women change their hairstyles a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I remember one time I went to rec room with a friend and she had her hair in box braids in her ID photo, but when we were about to go into the rec room, she had her hair like natural. And the dude looked at her ID and looked at her and like, this is not you, and turned her away. Like, for real? Like, you know what I'm saying? So they're very, I don't know. I really don't like going to rec room and stuff like that just because I know that's like how they are, and pretty racist. It's just sad. It just really sucks.
Yeah, I don't even, this is all new to me. Like, again, with the whole, like, I don't have to know about this. Like, it's, like, it's, I don't have, you know, I don't have to unless I'm actively looking for it. And that sucks. And I feel, you know, I'm trying to call myself out right now.
It's okay,
but yeah, no, it's just, you know, it's just ridiculous. And it's just things that I don't have to notice. And it's just, meh. I hate it. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I had one other topic I wanted to touch on that I know you're really big on, with the whole sense of belonging and like self-love, self-care. And I don't have a direct question, but just, you know, talk about that.
Talk about that. I didn't even know what the term self-love or self-care meant until like I came to college, you know. But I think for all women, and even anybody, you know, like self-love is a journey, not a destination. And I think like, you know, when you're a little girl, you're fed all of these images through the media, through, you know, Disney telling you this is how you should look, this is how your life should be, you're gonna get a Prince Charming. And then when you grow up and life's not really like that, you're like, well, what's wrong with me? You know what I mean? And if your body doesn't look like, you know, what's in or trending at the time, then you feel like unworthy. You know what I'm saying? And it's not okay. And it's bananas to me over the years how many women have kind of expressed to me through like subtle ways or really direct how they don't love themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, why? Like, you should love yourself more than anything else in this world. And people will say, oh, that's selfish. Like, you're putting yourself before others. You're damn right I'm going to put myself before others, because if I'm not right, how can I help others? How can I be there for my friend if I'm not good taking care of myself?
I'm a big supporter of that.
Definitely. And I think, so it's like, you just got to know that you're the sugar honey iced tea and rock with it. You know, I saw this meme and it had said something like, we tell women to love themselves, but then when you got too much love for yourself, you got too much confidence, they said, no, bring it down a notch. What?
Yeah.
No. You know, I've just tried to learn to like just love myself, because if you don't love yourself, who else is going to? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where a lot of like feminism comes in, where it's like, you got to look at you and be like, all right, what's the best thing for me? You know, what does an ideal woman look like for me? May not be the same for you, but that's fine, because that's you and I'm me. So I'm just super big on self-love. And I know I was like, I kind of just went all over the place with that, but I really want to write a book. And I think about it every day of like, dang, well, there's so much regarding self-love that should be talked about, like with like from body image to self-esteem to race to like, you know, just either loving everything about yourself, you know, from the hair on your head to down to your toes, you know what I mean? Like loving who you are externally, but internally as well.
No, I think that's great. Is the book you want to write, is it are you thinking it's going to be more focused on women?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be for women. I'm thinking like demographic ages 18 to 34.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think that's awesome. I think, it's very like, like we've kind of been talking about belonging in communities and like out in the world. And then this is more of like taking that inward, looking inward and being like belonging in yourself, like happy internally kind of thing, which is so cool and so essential and so hard.
So essential. Dang, when you're a woman, you need it. You really need it. And it's also about making yourself happy.
Mm-hmm.
Making yourself happy. And I'm practicing being alone. This is my first time like really like trying to practice like the whole being alone thing, like doing things that I actually want to do, and spending that time with myself to really like be like, okay, girlfriend, like, well, what do you want to do tonight? Like, do you want to like just get like food and chill at home and watch makeup tutorials, or what do you want to do? So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I think women, y'all, we got to watch out, y'all, because oh man,
it's a hard world.
It's a hard world, and we got to watch out for ourselves because no one else is looking out for us. So you got to watch out for yourself. For sure.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that. Just because we're both graduating and like applying for jobs and stuff. Like the conversations I have with women are just so like I've never had a few, but I've never had a conversation where the woman is excited, like and ready to like graduate and start the real world. Like I don't feel that way at all. Yeah. And like when I talk to men, they've just been told it's going to be fine, so they think it's going to be fine. And like when I've been in many situations where in classes you like go around and say like, well, what skill do you have? Like we're doing a group thing. How can you contribute? All the guys are like, I'm good at this. I'm good at this. The women are like, I guess I'm kind of good at it. And I don't really have like a thing like and I'm absolutely one of those people. Absolutely. And it's just so annoying. It's so like professional. Like, I mean, it's always important, but the stakes are so high. Like, it's money, it's livelihood. Like, it's like so important. And it's, oh God, it's just becoming very aware to me, like recently, like applying for job applications, and how insecure I am about all this stuff, and how like I just don't have that infrastructure in place of people reaching out to me and saying like, well, it's totally fine. And I people tell me that and I don't believe them, Yeah. And
I think you'll be great in the real world, Katie.
Well, thank you, Kat. But I still don't believe it. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so I'm with you there.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting for sure. Being in the workplace, even in the workplace now, just when you're critically conscious of the things that are going on and you call people out on things, they don't know how to handle it. Mm-hmm. And I've been told at my job from other people, like, well, they say that you're sassy. And I'm like, I'm sassy because I let you know when you're wrong. Yeah. Because I'm not going to let you walk all over me like you walk all over these other women who work here, kind of thing. So, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Ladies, stick up for yourself no matter what. Oh, don't let anyone disrespect you. Ever.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for being here, Kat.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful conversation. We kind of touched on a lot of topics, but they're all important, and I love them all. For sure. Well, thank you so much, and thank you all for listening, everyone. Bye.